And Fabio's outside with the iPad. The sun is up. So this is the life in the Lagoa at the moment. We are following, we're supposed to go be in this little canal, but it's the maps are off. So we are on the map, we are on the right side of the canal, but luckily here we have got the track of a boat that passed, and then there are side channels if you want to go to this pelotas. That's the last but one buoy. Basically we are out of our canal. 40 nautical miles. We did that in 8 hours and a quarter. And it's 11 o'clock now. Fabio is readying the spinnaker. The spinnaker is up, and now it's time to cross this lake. Yeah, I think it's 200 kilometers long. If it wasn't for the water, which is brown, obviously, I mean it is an estuary. There are a lot of rivers coming into it. Then one would think that one would be in the ocean. And the maximum depth is, I think, 6 meters, and that just goes on, as says, for 200 kilometers. So there we were, almost falling asleep, and then suddenly we got some wind. So we're doing 12 knots. It's quite cool sailing. 180 square meters of spinnaker pulling the boat. Here it doesn't feel like there's that much wind, of course, because I've got 15 knots from behind. I've got a speed of 10 knots. Creating a wind in front, so in the end I've got 5 knots of wind here. The white lighthouse, and behind there is where we're going to anchor for the night, but there is a sandbank that runs all the way to that buoy up there. So we're going to go around that buoy, come back, and then anchor there. It's 6:30, and the sun should be about to rise. We have to get going because it's a long way to Porto Alegre, and this wind is going to disappear in the afternoon. And direction is straight north. At least 40 miles. And Faidapiu is sailing in fresh water. For the first time ever. We put in one reef. Basically, we put in a reef whenever the wind is above 15 knots. So 4 hours later, 10:30, we did our 40 miles. And we are entering the river that takes us to Porto Alegre. Porto Alegre is situated in the north of this huge basin lake that has a small opening on the south side at Rio Grande. That's where we came in 6 months ago. And it is used as a, let's say, a basin for 4 or 5, I can't remember how many, rivers that empty into it. There are huge floods in May, whereby the water level of this whole lake basin raised by 5 meters, which is basically the double of what it is usually, creating havoc in Porto Alegre. The airport is still not open, and now it's the end of September, because it can only come out from this very small opening in Rio Grande. Now also here, of course, that meant that the water level came up 5 meters, and everything was underwater. You could now see the water level was above the lamp. Yeah, so we are talking about 3 meters above the jetty, and luckily the marineros managed to keep all the boats tied up by adjusting the lines 24 hours a day. There we go. It is Friday at 2:45 local time, and we are leaving. Now we've got 2 friends on board that we met here. Somebody who experts on the Lagoa. So hopefully we are not going to hit any sand. That is Vinicius, our marinero. Bye bye, Clube dos Jangadeiros. Very pleasant stay. We came here because it has fresh water. It's not seawater, it's fresh water coming down from all the rivers. So we could leave the boat in the water without being scared of growth. In fact, nothing has grown.
Faidapiu flies!
Close hold?
No, I mean like this. Yeah.
Outside the canal, but there's 4 meters here, and we've got Christian on board, so we'll be fine. And that is where I think we're going to spend the night. So this is what happens here. There are floating trees, or maybe not even floating. The depth is only 4 meters, so it's very possible it's planted. So the plan is to get as far as possible down into the second lake, the big Lagoa dos Patos. And there is going to be very little wind, so a lot of motoring, I'm afraid. But let's see. Anchor is up. So the lighthouse indicating the end of the first lake. And that's the entrance to Lagoa dos Patos from the north. Christian is cleaning the lines that have been in the water for the last 6 months. The wind is really very little. When it came up to 7 knots, we tried to unroll the code. So that is what we are doing at the moment. We are motorsailing with the code and the main, and the engine is running on low RPMs. We would really like to keep an average of at least 5.5 knots, so that as to arrive in daylight in the next anchorage. we entered the canal do Feitoria, and for the first time in 3 days we actually got wind. So we are sailing, not motoring. After 2 days of motoring, it feels great. The wind comes from the back, so we've got the spinnaker. The shadow of the spinnaker in the water. Stop! Stop there. It's okay.
Dave, go a bit more to the front and try to pull it towards the front.
Yeah.
And not straight down. Yeah.
So we turned into the canal of Pelotas. So there's a lot of current against. I suppose it's been raining, so Pelotas is getting empty. Well, we have Christian on board, and he says that instead of that we are in the canal, where there is indeed 2 knots of currents, we are supposed to hug this coast. It's very scenic. Apparently all this was underwater during the floods. Andrea tells me that this is usually all land, whereas now it's just the river that took it. Apparently we are still a couple of meters above ordinary water level. And there are the cows. Pampas. We are in the Pampa, the land of the cowboys and the cows. Dove? Oh, they're flamingos! And yet another beautiful place in Brazil. Pelotas is the second biggest town in Rio Grande do Sul, after Porto Alegre. It's got 300,000–400,000 inhabitants, so for European standards a huge town. I of course hadn't heard of it. It is nice to have sailors on board. Look how they left the halyards. It's raining! As you see, we are going overland. That's why these charts are really very useless. We keep being completely outside the canal. And this is a sea map, whereas on the iPad we've got an avionics running, and there we are inside the canal lines and we are in the middle, which is exactly where we are.
Yeah! Go, 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 go! 12.6.
We are doing jib only at this moment, but there's a lot of wind. Those are the boys. So that's Rio Grande. And that's a canal that we either have to take now, or we're going to go a little bit further down and then take a bigger canal. But it already looks better. I mean, there's still 35 knots of wind, but at least it's not stark. It's not raining. And this is actually the low pressure that we are going to tail tomorrow when we are going to go north to Florianopolis. So we are entering the canal, crosswinds, put the engines on 2000 RPM each. But this boat has a lot of wind from the side. Christian just radioed them, passing starboard to starboard. And that boy feels very, very close. We've got 3 meter depth here. Those are the jetties of the yacht club. So we threw the anchor on 4.5 meters here in front of the yacht group, and that boat actually is going to go to Florianopolis tomorrow, like us. So we are gonna race. It's very, it's rather well protected. It's, I mean, there are no waves because it's an island up front. We still got 20 plus knots of wind, but at least it's not raining anymore. Now all the fenders were left out because we thought we were going to go into the yacht club, but we are not going to go there in these kind of windy situations. Much better out here, less chance of damage. And then the plan is tomorrow we are going out of the canal there, Rio Grande. Then we're going to turn left and take the 350 miles to Florianopolis. So this is as far south as we're going to go on the American continent.